Hello friends, myself Professor Vinod Pillai. Welcome to C++ programming session. In today's session, we are going to talk about exception handling. I've divided my exception handling session into multiple parts. This is the first session of our exception handling, so I'll be talking about very basics of exception handling. What are the major keywords available in exception handling like try, catch and throw. And we'll be seeing a simple example of exception handling in which we see how the exception handling is working. So let's start. First and foremost, exception handling is one of the features being added into the further stages of C++ development. That means in the initial stages of C++, you will not see the features like exception handling. So it may be possible that you know C++, but you have never heard about exception handling because you have learned I mean C++ at the early stages. So those users who don't know, I just want to tell them that exception handling is one of the features with the help of which we can handle the error. Okay, I said we can handle the error. I didn't say we can avoid the error. The reason is there is a myth between many of the users in C++ that with the help of exception handling we can avoid error. No, it is not possible because as the name suggests, exception handling, some exception has already occurred, you just need to handle it with the help of exception handling. So what all this about and what is the use of it? There are major two types of error, that is compile time and runtime error. We all know that thing. But if some error has occurred, that is at runtime, suppose I was not expecting, I've said like no employee salary will be 0, but user has entered 0, then the all complete system will do process based on 0 and it will generate some error and the system may crash. It may be possible. And the end user, at the end user's point of view, that means the real user who is going to use my system, he does not know it. It was by mistake he has entered 0. The system crashes, he does not know what has happened, what was the last value, what the data should be stored. Instead of it, the system crashed, so database was not closed properly. So n number of problems can be generated based on the some simple errors. So what does exception handling help us to do? The exception handling help us to handle this thing. That means if some error has occurred, what are the measures or what are the things you want to perform? Okay, you want to store the error in the files so that the whenever developer comes to the end user and he can check what exactly the error is, because the end user does not know what has the error has come and what is the reason why the system has crashed. So in that is one possibility. You may want to that if exception has occurred, before crashing, appropriate message should be shown to user instead of showing the crash message. You want this data should be stored into database properly, the database should be closed properly. So such n number of actions you want to perform as and when an exception has occurred, then with the help of exception handling we can do that thing. Now comes, I hope so you have understood what is exception handling and what are the uses of it. But I repeat, we can't avoid errors because error has already occurred. Exception handling will help us to do the task we want to perform as and when such error has occurred. Yes, definitely we will try to code in that manner only that no such error has occurred. But in worst scenario, if any such error has occurred, then what steps should be taken? With the help of exception handling we can do those things. So let's come into the second points, that is the major keywords of exception handling, that is try, catch and throw. There are three major sections in a exception handling. I'll be explaining you with the example only. So the second and third portion will be covered in simultaneously. I just give you an overview. Try is a block in which we'll write all the codes we feel so may generate an error. Okay, now the question comes in, the first thing comes in mind is like, if we know that it may generate an error, then why we don't solve that error? No, I said we may expect an error in that scenario. That means what? Wherever you are expecting a value from end user, most of the scenarios you can expect an error at that location, because if suppose you have generated a formula, then the formula will work fine. But if you expect a value to be taken from the user and based on that value your formula will be working, then there may be a scenario that you may get into an error because the value is given by the end user and end user can make mistakes. So that's why I said wherever the code you expect an error, or wherever you are most probably you are expecting a value from end user, and based on that end user's value you are going to process it, there are chances of getting an error. And if such error has occurred, the system may get crashed. If that is a scenario, then all those codes or all those codes you expect to generate an error should be written in the try block. That is the first thing. If some error has occurred, then you want to take necessary steps. So you want to jump from that location to take necessary steps if such error has occurred. Instead of staying there, then that can be done with the help of keyword throw. Then the last comes as the catch block. Catch is a block which will catch the thrown content. That means a particular error has occurred and you want, instead of showing crashing, you want appropriate messages and appropriate action should be taken, so you have used the throw keyword. Okay, so catch is the one who is going to catch the throw statement, and he, where in the catch block is the section where we will write the n number of codes you want to perform, or you say n number of things you want to perform while some exception has occurred. That means ultimately things you want to perform while some error has occurred. Okay, so I also cleared the three things. That is, try is a block where you expect some error may occur. Throw, if suppose some error has occurred, so you want to jump from there and to take necessary actions, so you need to throw. You means you want to jump from there, so you use throw. Yes, definitely we can use for rethrowing concepts that will be explained in my next sessions. But next comes is the catch. If you throw from there, someone need to catch, that is the catch blocks, who will catch it and who will take necessary steps. So let's start with an example and we'll try to understand this in more details. So what I've done is I've created a simple C++ program in which I've created a method. Okay, I'll go into main method which calls us the test exception method. Okay, so let's see what is there in the test exception. Test exception is expecting a value from the user, that means end user, and that value is stored in REL. According to me, if suppose user has entered a value less than 0 or equal to 0, that means according to me he has generated an error, and based on that my OR formula will get into process. And if suppose he enters any value less than 0 or equal to 0, my formula will be wrong and even my system get crashes. So I don't want to happen that. If something like that has happened, I want to not to process further. I want from there to jump into my location, that means at the last position. I want to throw from there. I'm throwing an integer value. I kept a catch block who will catch my things, and I will do n number of steps and display an appropriate message to the user. So that is my expectations all. How I did it like that, so I put a try because I'm expecting an error here, because if REL is value less than equal to 0, then I don't want to process any further. Just I simply say throw REL, because throw is passing a value, so you're throwing an integer value, so someone should be there at the catch block with an integer value. In the next session I'll be showing you how you can have multiple catches with the different data types and all those things, but try now to understand that now we are throwing an integer value. The catch block will catch the integer value and will do the necessary steps. Okay, so this is as simple as that. The main function calls the function. The function accepts a value from the user. He feels there may be a generate an error, so he put it in the try block. If an error has occurred, he throws from there an integer value. Catch block catches it, does the necessary steps. Okay, let's try to run this program. I compile it, I run it. So if I say pass 10, so no such exception has occurred because it goes in a normal manner. Again I run it. If suppose I'm passing 0, so you can see an exception has occurred and an appropriate message has been shown to the user. So these are the advantages you can get with the help of exception handling. I hope I've cleared your doubts with basics of exception handling. In further sessions we'll be seeing in more details how we can have multiple exception handling, how we can have catch with in the main method but you're handling in some another way, and all those, how the concept of rethrowing and all those things we'll be seeing in further sessions. If you have any queries, please write comments to this video. Okay, you can find all codes related to this video at my blog vinodthebest.wordpress.com. You can write email, but I prefer to write comments in my videos so that end users can also get the same. If someone else has same questions, he can also get the answers. Okay, if you have any queries, you can feel free to ask me other than this topic also, and if you want some other topics videos, please put a request on my video, or else you can email me. In that case, I'll try my level best to have it. If you like this video, please subscribe my videos. Thank you and have a nice day.